All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Call the meeting to order. Can I get a motion on the minutes?
Move to approve.
Hey, I just have one thing. I've got a suggestion that we add to the minutes at the bottom. For complete meeting details, search www.youtube.com/c/SRSD meeting videos. A link can be found on the SAU17.net website. That way, anybody who wants to go beyond the minutes and actually look at the meeting or parts of the meeting, they know where to access it. So, I get an amendment to add that?
I amend my motion to add the requested verbiage to the minutes.
Okay, no, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
All right. So for today, I've got it up here on the screen if you don't have your computer.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can make it bigger. Move this out of the way. Okay, so we're gonna be spending some time walking through the building today, so I really want to kind of limit my comments. If you want a full understanding of what's going on in the district, just read the whole document, okay? So again, I would just want to hit off Tom's big three: auditorium, running track surface, resurfacing, and wireless upgrade. Right now, we're working towards trying to get good solid numbers on those and line them up for board consideration. Now, since we're going to be going through the Bakey school, I just kind of want to go through each of the items here so that when you're walking through the building, you can kind of like ask questions. The first one is there's a new roof leak where there's a rubber membrane that the flashing has rotted, and we're going to be replacing that rubber membrane, and it's $3,900. Also, the roof ductwork for the HVAC, which is over the cafeteria. So there's only one room that has a rooftop unit. That there is some insulation that goes around the ductwork for that. That has rotted out as well, and it's starting to kind of move away. So the heating properties of that are diminished. Okay. We're still waiting for a third company to provide a proposal for the pumps over at the septic tank. And actually, we're starting to think now it might be less expensive to try to get submersible pumps as opposed to replacing them. And so we're investigating that one right now.
So Matt, on that one, do we have? You said we're looking for a third proposal, a third company. What are the current proposals look like? What are the cost of current proposals?
Complete with electrical work, about $30,000.
The other two are averaging about $30,000.
Yeah, well, they both came in at $20,000 for the pump replacement. But one proposal, they don't have an electrician. We would have to contract that out. The other company has an electrician, so that was an additional, I think, $12,000 for the electrician. Then, if we go with submersible pumps, which I'm exploring now, there may be a reduction in the electrical work that's needed. So we're kind of reconfiguring that right now. Because the reason why I'm looking at submersible pumps is that they're more readily available than deck pumps, first of all. And they're cheaper to replace and repair if we need to in the future.
Do they have a similar life?
They're very close. The deck pumps will last a little bit longer, but the cost difference may be significant enough where it might be worthwhile.
And this is for two pumps, not one.
There's two pumps. Yep, they're right around the corner out here, right next to the septic field.
One has failed, but the other one
Is operating still, but they're both 31 years old.
right.
And if the pump that failed is telling us what pump 2 is doing,
Right.
we need to act out both of them. So,
All right. Now, on top of, ignore the boiler room project that we just did. Okay. There are 6 other circulating pumps that are on the system that are not in that boiler room. They're actually in a room that's over here in the
yeah, right at the top of the
old
steps.
boiler room. Okay. So these pumps are also over 30 years old, and we're going to kind of get pricing on it, and we're trying to be proactive on that. So
And what do they do?
What do
What do those pumps do?
they provide heat, I believe, to probably this part of the building.
Oh, it's a different zone effectively?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we look,
A question on that, Matt. You say some of these pumps are over 30 years old. Do we have here's the pumps, here's the age of them, or some of them less than 30 years old? I mean, do we know what the inventory is?
no, I don't know the exact inventory of it. And this is more like an FYI that we're looking at it. When we come up with some sort of plan, we're gonna be bringing it before. We'll bring you the information. I'm suspecting that it might be substantial. And it could be that we either replace them to be proactive, or we just let them fail and deal with them then. So I'm going to move on to the next item. We looked at air conditioning for this library, and the proposal was just under 79,000. We're not going to be moving forward with that, but we're going to continue reevaluating that project. We looked at air conditioning for a utility room that's going to house IT equipment, and that proposal came in at 28,675. Now you have to recognize that as part of the sale of seminary, we have servers over there. Those servers need a new home, and we need to bring them here. And the room that we're going to be putting them in needs to be cool. Okay, so this is a project that we need to really consider what good options are. $28,000 to me is high, but I think what we need to do is keep looking at it, keep looking at solutions for it, and then come up with great options.
You know, ballpark, what the dimensions of that room are?
You're going to see it. It's the electrical room.
Okay.
That's
It's the dimension right here. It's the length of that wall, and
Yeah.
about 10 feet wide.
I'm gonna say 10 or.
Are there windows in the room?
Yes, they're adjacent to the small.
Is there a solid wall?
Well, it's a basement type of wall
Yeah,
down below.
Okay.
And if we put a split system in, what we would do is we would cover the room above also, because the unit could handle both rooms, and that's a full window up there.
I'm just wondering, it sounds like a fairly small room, a window air conditioner.
Well, it's,
It-
yeah. but
it-
I don't
it
think
might
it's
be below
something that
grade.
a Small, fit in a little
No, you'd have to
basement.
Yeah.
do something.
I mean-
Knock a hole in the wall or do something.
Well, the way they would do is they would put the split unit on the wall outside,
Right.
and then they would duct it into the basement, and then put a duct in the room above.
That's
The reason why,
That's $28,000.
so I'm just letting you know that these things are out there. We need to kind of find a solution for cooling the room down.
Yeah.
Okay.
To me, it's a bigger question. We have a strategic plan that says we're getting rid of the servers and we're gonna go into the cloud.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be putting $28,000 into managing servers if then next year we're gonna say we don't need servers anymore, we're moving everything to the cloud. So that's gonna be part of the technology plan as to what exactly do we look like we're gonna have over this time frame.
Yeah.
Good point.
Okay, so the other thing that we're going ahead with is we're putting a camera down the sewer septic pipes because we want to, if you remember in this building, actually this part of the building over here has a type of sewer pipe that's cracking because of the way it's manufactured. And before we try to go and do a solution, we're going to be sending a camera down to go and identify the quality of the piping underneath, because it could be that those are in great quality and we can leave them untouched. However, if they say that this particular company also has a product in which they can pump PVC material inside the pipe and fill any cracks, which may be a great solution. So we're going to be paying $1,550 to initially have it scoped. $1,550. Okay.
We had already talked about that and agreed on that at the board.
I don't think it was at the school board. I think I spoke to you on the side on that.
I think it was at the board.
Okay.
But anyways, we should proceed with that. We need to understand what
Yeah.
we're dealing with.
Now, the next item is we're assessing the electrical capacity of the building to determine whether the building can support air conditioning window units. We had some parents that say that they can donate some units to us. However, I'm not sure that the system can handle that kind of power.
Are all the windows like these? Like I see the ones on the outside there.
No, they're not all like these.
I see.
So,
the ones up here are double wide, and the ones over here.
okay. So I provided an RFP for the facilities committee to issue. I'd like to hire an electrical engineer to evaluate the building and come up with either yay or nay it, okay? And if they're okay with it, then I'm gonna go forward with trying to solicit air conditioning units.
But the RFP is to find the electrical engineer.
Yes, yes. And it's an electrical engineer that would obviously work for the school board. So it would be a report that's handed to the school board in consideration of the gift
So
of.
this would be kind of like what we did with an architect.
Yes, exactly. However, this RFP is just a little different. Before I was doing an RFQ for qualifications, this one here is going to be including some of their pricing.
Okay.
And just a couple of things to notice, in the CIP plan, we get this listed as $15,000. I don't believe we should be paying $15,000 for somebody to analyze our electrical. I mean, that should be like a 1-hour review of the junction box. I mean, it shouldn't be that kind of an event. The other is, just when you look at the RFP, we still have the word architect in there. So I think we should copy and paste. So you just, there's a couple of items I saw in there where it still says architect, where you want to just change that to electrical engineer.
Yeah, will do. All right. So the last thing is we're going to pass the loading dock to buy some time on it and try to replace the stairs on the loading dock with galvanized steps. Okay. So instead of just trying to rip out the concrete, we're going to put a galvanized step overlay on it. Okay. And especially on the emergency exit out here, we have one emergency exit where the concrete's eroded so much that the steps are uneven, and we had a teacher wipe out on it. Okay. And I got to replace those steps at some point. And so really a metal galvanized set of steps that where the snow can go through is probably preferable than trying to replace the concrete. All right. So for the other schools,
Are we gonna look at those?
yes.
Okay.
And actually, we should get some pricing on it really soon.
Galvanized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the steps.
Well, I did already from Mike Lavero.
Oh, okay. Let's see, I'm gonna jump to Memorial. Just so that you know, we replaced 3 of the heat pump units in the last month. We're also turning on the oil-fired burners in the morning to try to bring up the temperature of the building in an effort to reduce the electricity costs. Because I'm just going to use my heat pump as an example. It's only good down to 5 degrees. I'm not sure what those units are out at Memorial. We've had some days where it goes below 5 degrees. And so those units just run constantly trying to heat. So it's actually better or more efficient for us to use the oil-fired burner to bring up the temperature of the building, and then the heat pumps just kind of manage it later in the day.
After you say 3 were replaced, how many total do we have?
Almost one in every classroom. So. Oh, Mitch, how many classrooms?
But I think it's at least 14 on one side, and then it gets the other wing.
Probably about 35 units.
Yeah,
So something like 10%, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% just failed.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
But we're losing them on a monthly basis now.
What's the failure mode? What's happening?
It's just that it's a
Compressor
20-year, yes, the compressor, it's a 20-year life cycle, and we're at 20 years.
These are not the first 3 that failed then? How many have failed out of our total?
And we've lost like
so
7 this year.
Yeah, about this year. And we've had 1 or 2 fires. The compressor's about $2,000, motherboard's about 1,000. Typically, they're failing together. To replace units, roughly $6,000.
That's labor and the unit.
Approximately, yes. Well, when I say replace, they keep the old box there,
Yeah.
basically take all the guts out and replace it with new. So they wouldn't be a completely new unit, but they would redo the inside of the box.
You all set?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump to the high school, middle school. In the wood shop,
Did you skip modular? There was no attachment either on the modular. You said attached modular. Oh, you're talking about the modular itself that's attached. So I was looking for an attachment.
yes.
Okay, never mind.
Yes. Why don't I address that one too, because that's important. We had some rot damage at the old module, in one of the modulars where a piece of machinery actually went through the floor. And the floor has been repaired, and we're going to be conducting an air quality test in that modular. The high school, middle school, the wood shop dust collection system. So basically we've got a couple of bandsaws and a table saw that need to be hooked up to the system. Right now they're dumping all their sawdust into the room. And so we're going to be hiring a vendor to replumb them.
Been that way all along, we just let sawdust float in the air and shop. Or is something right,
They used a new bandsaw, a big heavy duty one. And they have two smaller bandsaws that have never been hooked up into the dumping. Real fine sawdust. So, in the table saw that they have has a vacuum system. The hose that, if this is your outfeed for the table saw, the hose is right here. So when you're cutting sheet product, it hits the hose. So we have to redesign that where the hose is off to the side and comes from down below to collect the dust there. So there's 4 units we're looking at servicing over there, 3 bandsaws and a table saw. And one of the bandsaws is brand new over there. They got some recent products. So that's the main thing. It's just that fine dust is in the atmosphere there. It's not healthy, I will say that.
Good thing everyone's wearing masks.
Well, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but all the ductwork is there existing for the other equipment. It's just a matter of capping off of it and adding extensions,
I see.
some flexing.
The sufficient draft or draw.
Oh, absolutely. That dust bucket system in there we have.
What did you say? I didn't hear what you said. We're in the process of.
Replumbing it, the
Oh,
interior portion of it in the room to make sure that all these pieces of equipment are hooked up to it. Okay.
Is that something that staff is doing or?
No, that's right now we're at max capacity. And so this is something that we'd have to hire a vendor to do that.
So you're getting pricing?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see, the boiler stack over at the high school. If you remember our walk through with the high school, you have the huge stack that comes out of the roof. The first part of it is it has guidelines that hold it up, right? Okay. And we had one break this past summer. So that probably means that all the other cables need to be replaced. At the same time, we also spoke about how rainwater goes down into the chimney and it gets turned into acid, and we're trying to collect that down the bottom. One of the things that we're looking at is actually putting a cap over that so that it prevents the rainwater from going down. And the cap right now, the cap and replacing the guide wires is $11,367.
Did you determine what the failure point of the guard wire was? Was it the wire or a stanchion or?
I believe it was the wire.
It was the clamps holding the wires, I believe. Make sure up there.
Yeah.
It was the clamp holding the wire.
It's actually, there's a piece of threaded rod
Right.
that failed.
Yeah, that goes through the roof. It is attached to the barge.
It's not as rugged as I think it should be, really. Right from the get-go, they should have put BPS stuff on it,
Oh,
I feel. And this threaded rod will go right through the rubber roofing and into the corrugated steel roof. And they had some washes on it, and I believe it's only 1/2 inch threaded rod. I mean, when you get the wind sailing over there, I don't know if you've ever felt the wind, it's very windy.
Well, from that height, it doesn't seem very deep.
It doesn't, right?
Right, and
Yeah.
so of course, with the harmonics of the wind, looking through those wires, they're vibrating constantly, and of course, any nut or bolt is obviously
it's
gonna vibrate off.
And it wiggles and it.
Can you tell us about the quality of the wire itself?
The cable itself is rough, has a bit of rust. It's a Galvy,
Yeah.
1/4 inch cable. And the hardware that we have on it is a bit rusty. It's in the weather all the time.
Right.
But it's adequate, I
Yeah.
believe, that to use for the cable.
Yeah.
And the cable is probably adequate. I don't see that ever snapping. But it's the anchoring devices
Yeah.
should be beefier, should be more rugged. And maybe more of them. There's only 3 of them. I'd like to see maybe 6 of them,
But they've been up there since 2008, right?
since the place was built.
Yeah.
Right, and the other issue is too, is if we do put a cap on there, it acts more of a, like a kite. So we would have to add more cables anyways.
So they can't be put on there so that the wind doesn't catch it, can't be designed so it's not catching the wind.
Well, it would be a cap
Right.
over it, but it would still act like a kite up there.
Yeah, the whole thing acts as a kite, but we can't have a mushroom, typical mushroom that would go
Yeah,
over.
there's-
it.
the reason bar that
You're
was-
talking a
Well,
piece this round.
That's,
You'd
Well,
have
that's-
a huge
it's here that
mushroom
goes
that
through.
would be it.
so the connections are becoming so
So-
eroded.
Design-wise, if they put a bigger sleeve,
So
it
that's what they're
has probably
talking about.
6 inch all the way around it.
Well, the wires
With a cover on it, like a top hat, sitting over it, I believe would be the best design and the less wind.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I saw the money. I'm like, geez, can't you just get a top hat design? It's really
Right,
good now.
Right.
It has to be,
I would think.
it has to be engineer approved. It's not like you can get something for your house,
That's very.
okay?
Right.
Because it's a very specifically designed chimney.
You can see the guide wires.
Yeah.
And then you can see how. Here's the end of
Now,
it.
Jim, One of the things that we were talking about was the cap. It's kind of flat, and
So that's the issue.
he
we're
was
having.
talking about it
Yeah.
being like an off-the-shelf kind of design, and my thing is it has to be
Yeah.
an engineer approved
Yeah.
design for
Yeah,
that
There's
chimney.
quite a bit up there for the three wires.
What do you say?
And it's.
Well, no,
held
he didn't say
through some
anything.
serious
Yeah.
storms. I mean, it has held, but we get some serious wind up there and, it's really, and right now, I've tightened all of those turnbuckles and everything. We try to keep it very well,
Yeah.
snug, so there's no slop in it, really. Once a month, I go up and take a gander at it, anyway, you know.
So this has
Right.
been since the summer?
The cable,
The
Yeah.
cable came out, yes, you were out on leave, so was it June?
I'm gonna guess June, yeah.
We had kids in the building because I called the superintendent, he's like, we need to evacuate the building.
Yeah.
The chimney fall over, I'm like, no, we're good to go.
Just before graduation.
So there's only 2 cables holding it now?
No, we were able.
I was able to repair it.
Oh, okay.
I used the same stock.
Yeah.
I put in a couple more washers to disperse the full one.
Yeah.
And we had the roofing company come in and button that, what I had done up. And I think when they put new ones in, we ought to go with a bigger solid plate, better than the round washers we have that are this big.
Uh-huh.
Your corrugation roof, that steel roofing, the corrugation, the gaps are like about 3.5 inches in between. So you really ought to have
So do those
8-inch
plates,
plate.
or those washers ride over
Yes,
the gap?
yep.
And
And
it
there,
doesn't crush them down when it's bolted in?
no, it isn't quite that much force on it.
Oh,
You really don't want it, but you just want it
yeah,
to keep it from swaying.
Okay.
Really.
interesting.
And when the new cap, like I said, it kind of changed the wind load dynamics.
Right.
So on that threaded rod, it's actually at an angle through this roofing.
Yeah.
And through the washers that I had. So I had to actually file the washers a little bit to create that angle,
Right,
so it wouldn't tilt the washer.
good job.
And then double nut that, so it can't go down, up through. There's 2 nuts on it, tight. And then there's a turnbuckle on top of that that penetrates up through the roof.
all right, the next one here is we're evaluating our fire protection company. We're interviewing several companies right now. Just to let you both know. We're also obtaining estimates to buy 2 utility trailers because with the sale of the seminary, we're exiting the grounds garage there. And one of the things that I noticed this past fall was if they needed, like they were working here at Bakey, if they needed a piece of equipment, they'd have to drive back over to the garage, get it, and drive back here. And really, the idea is, why don't we just put all their equipment in a trailer, put it on behind them on a truck, and wherever they go, that's where their equipment is. And then also our equipment then would be all locked up. The grounds garage, we have to vacate it by the beginning of summer so that they can tear it down, build a new house on that site.
Wasn't that, I didn't get a chance to go back to the original lease, but wasn't it the garage supposed to be leasable by us for some period of time?
Yes, but we've also been approached by them to exit 2 of the buildings so that, and quite frankly, it would be nice to kind of reduce our footprint. Okay, but yeah, we've been asked to exit the 2 buildings out behind the science building, and so that they can tear those down and turn them into homes as soon as possible.
So what are we getting for giving them that? Because we have a lease, a 5-year.
Yeah,
With.
that would be,
renewals.
that's really a Tom question.
Okay,
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so
You jumped down and missed some. Is that deliberate? Are you gonna come?
no, I'm deliberately skipping stuff so that we can go and walk through the building. I'm trying to save time to walk through.
Let
the
me
building.
I just want to point out on the greenhouse windows, we're looking at getting a quote to fix those. We should probably get a quote to say we don't need greenhouse windows. And that's come up numerous times in budget committee meetings and public comment as
Yeah.
to what's the story there. So we should at least have what that comparison is.
right, what it would be to remove it and window that up. and, seal it up.
We're buying a new truck. I'm just letting you know the truck that we're replacing. It's absolutely useless for snow removal right now. So I've asked the guys to go and put it up on a trailer and bring it up to the state auction and just remove it from the property. That's
That's
it.
the one that you're waiting on the replacement one, right?
That's right.
Okay.
I don't want any.
We were gonna get that in January, is that delayed now?
Yes, the dealer is saying we'll get an answer from Ford sometime at the end of the 3rd quarter, which to me is March.
Really?
Yeah, and I even sent them an email on Monday. And so there's no change.
So there's no recourse to them on any additional cost to us if we have to wait for the truck? I mean, is there anything contractual?
No, the only thing is a reduced, increased amount of time spent plowing.
Right,
Okay. I think the next item is the trust funds. Shall we jump into that?
what?
The trust funds?
Sure.
Okay,
The same balances that you showed in finance, right?
yes,
Anything different?
no,
Okay.
skip it.
Are you all
Cool.
set, Jamie?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the facility alteration request. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay, so, I have it over here. We've been asked to, alter the high school to put on a mosaic mural along the brick wall, on the corner of the building over by the art, classroom. And an example would be, it's going to be on this location of the building, right there. And this is what a proposed idea would look like up on the screen. And it's based upon this particular mural that's at a school in Portland, Maine. Now, let's see if I can get down to another. I can't seem to switch my page. Oh, there we go. And this is what a close-up would be of that mural. And so under the board policies, any alterations to the building have to go to this committee. I think because this one here has such a big impact on it, what we'd be asking is for the facilities committee to deliberate on it, make a recommendation. If it wants to move forward, I think this really should be voted on the full school board.
I've got a couple of concerns.
Yeah.
Are they gonna replicate the exact mural here, or are they gonna design their own?
I think it's going to be a design of their own. This is just an example that they provided, so I don't think it's going to be exact.
is there going to be verbiage in it? Or is it just graphic?
If I'm looking at the example right here, the example has verbiage in it. I think,
Yeah, it's gonna be graphics and verbiage, but it is, students will make their individual files. And then they will place them within that lot of other.
So what are
Some
the,
of them will keep growing.
what are the tiles made of?
They're ceramic. They fire them in the
Ceramic?
kiln. Yep, they fire them, they glaze them.
And how are they attached?
Well, one of the things we thought about doing is to make it somewhat removable. I suggested that we don't attach it directly to the brick, put some type of hardy board or backer board or rock or something, fasten to the brick, and then they can fasten that wood to that. That way, if there's any issue in the future, or we would like to move it, or something like that, we can more or less make it mobile.
Well, I've got two concerns. One is what the message is that they're trying to convey. The other is the maintenance aspect of it. Is it, you drive around different cities and towns and you see murals, and a good many of them are deteriorated, and they look like crap. So what's the plan for maintenance and what will be involved?
According to the art teacher, this is going to be kind of a running deal. So
Yeah.
throughout the years, if one falls or comes loose, they could obviously replace it with a new top.
Is there any reason why this couldn't be done in a room indoors?
It's being run indoor right now.
Okay. So I mean, it mounted indoors, like in a gym or
Well,
something?
they have it mounted in the back stairwell adjacent to the art room right now, and they're just the thin tiles. Now, there's only so much room they have in that area
Right.
without going crazy on the walls because there's fire issues and stuff. like that we have to be careful with. But they wanted something outside to kind of draw community in and say, look, look, this is what our students are doing, rather than having to view it from inside. As Brian Stack was saying, it would be nice to have something like that. So when we do have events on that lawn out there, they do have art shows out there. It's nice to incorporate this with their program, their art program. Art shows.
Jamie, you have any-
Yeah, so I'm opposed. I fundamentally don't like the idea of putting things on the outside of a building. It takes away from the edges, it takes away from the architectural design. To me, it's just approved graffiti. You say, well, that's not fair, it's art, but so is graffiti art. I mean, you look at the different graffiti that's out there. And once you set the precedent, I can just see this growing over time and more of the building be covered. And I don't like the aesthetics of it. And Jim, you pointed out to the messages that might be incorporated. I also see this becoming not something that the community gets bound together by, but gets divisive. So-and-so wants to make some type of a statement. Some other group doesn't want that statement. That becomes a flashpoint. That's censorship because you don't want me to do this. No, you shouldn't be converting it into this other messaging. And then making it a permanent fixture to the outside of the building. I'm just not there. I don't like the aesthetics of it. I don't like the impact on the architectural view of the building. It's approved graffiti.
I think those
And
are
I don't
all,
mean that derogatory. I mean,
Yeah.
there's good looking graffiti out there too,
Right.
but
I think
that's
those
my
are all
opinion.
good points. I think if something like this was gonna be done, I mean, I understand the art department wanting to do something like this, to give the kids a medium to express, to create on. I don't know that it should be on the outside of the building for the reasons that same reasons Jamie said and what I said earlier. So I'd like them to find the space inside the building where they go. Okay.
you want a motion or something on that, Matt? Or what do you
why
want?
don't we do a motion and then so I have something final.
Okay,
So I
so
move to not approve the mural on the outside of the building.
all right, I'll second that. All in favor?
Now, we're gonna have I'm moving on. Let's see, oh yeah, quotes for repairing the high school, the roof at the silo. I just want to let you know that right now, if you remember the walk, through with the high school, the silo, which is the round portion. There's like a triangle roof that's meeting up to that, and it's always leaked through there. And we believe we found the location of the leak, and to repair that, it's gonna be $5,800.
Is that the flashing on the window that faces
That's correct. The
the one
flashing-
you and I looked at?
Yes, so we
Right.
figured what they would do is put a rubber membrane on top of that flashing on the flat and come up the window a couple inches and attach it to the window.
And that's $5,800?
Well, 2,000 of it is the actual lift that they have to use because they need a hydraulic lift to get it.
You know what this stuff is, right? I'd like to see this applied, put in that gap, and because it's really not staining that badly. And see, you can put that in anytime, any weather. It's like a
Yeah, but
window seal that comes on a
no,
wire.
I use it in my home
Okay.
because I have,
I
268.
mean, we asked you to clock it, but that didn't get done.
Well, what's happening is that we've caulked it, but there's a flashing
that
joint
was-
every.
The caulk that I saw was just two little spots. That whole
Right.
seam was wide
Yeah,
open.
but the issue we're having is that there's a flashing joint like every 8 inches, and then where the flashing goes underneath the window itself. And if we were to caulk that, we're worried about,
Plus it's sloped toward the window.
exactly, we're worried about moisture getting in there, and now there's no way for it to dry out. You have that moisture trapped in there.
Well, this stuff is removable.
Mhm.
And it's I've used it for years.
Oh, yeah, I have to,
Yeah,
but if you want us to do that, then we're gonna spend $2,000 on it to do it, because it's no way to get it.
that part you and I looked at, we were standing right next to it.
Right, but is the windows wrapped around the silo, they're
They do that all the way around.
They do it all the way around. So what's happening is even on the portion we can't reach, the water's gathering there, and they're running down that incline. To the bottom where the pitch is.
I did see on that proposal, $2,000 of it was for the lift. How many hours do they expect to need that lift?
I believe they think I think it's just a day job for them.
$2,000 for a lift for a day?
For a hydraulic lift like that. Yeah, I mean, to rent one at Home Depot, just one of those do-it-yourself lifts is $480 a day, because I price that up, because I'm paying my house.
Right.
So. And for delivery, drop off, pick up, and everything.
That's something you would need a crane for to get it up there?
Well, you know what I'm talking about, the four-wheel.
Do they have to,
Yeah.
do they have to reach up and over or just up?
No, they have to reach up and over because the front awning where the entrance is there.
Okay.
And the trees are there, so they need something that they can park centrally on that
Could you do it
sidewalk.
with a
and
bucket?
reach up and
Can you
reach
do it
up.
with a bucket truck?
Depending on the reach of a bucket truck, usually bucket trucks are more than 50 feet.
Oh, no,
Well, I mean, unless you get a tree type truck.
yeah, I had one in my business that was a 72-foot reach.
Yeah.
You know, how much of a reach they need?
And they could probably do with a truck that size.
Yeah,
The question is, how many roofing companies would have something that,
true company.
well, then I guess we would have to rent a bucket truck from a tree company, and then the liability of someone, of a roofing employee being in their bucket. would be
Yeah.
an issue.
All right. I didn't realize it went around the whole thing.
Goes around the whole thing, and it's pitched, they're not flat windows, they're all.
I don't know why they were decided like that. They're flashed like that. They're flashed, the ones I saw, so that everything goes toward the window instead of away from it.
Yeah, it was a terrible job.
Yeah.
So what's their proposal, to put a gasket around it?
So, the rubber membrane that you have on the roof right now,
Right.
they would use that type of material, and they would go up about 2 inches on the window and down on the flat portion, and down the face of it just an inch.
So when it comes down the window and then it goes across the flat,
The flat, yeah,
portion,
and then the push.
what's gonna make that slope go the right way instead of toward the window?
Well, the slope wouldn't be too important, because even if the water cools there, it's just this much.
It freezes.
It doesn't, well, it freezes all over the roof, though. There's
Right.
pools of water all over the
Right.
roof, and that's membrane.
So
is
this
designed-
membrane, it's not gonna have any seams in it.
Well, if they are, they're welded seams,
Okay,
so, because you have to make that radius too.
all right. Well, it's too bad we have to rent that, yeah.
Well, they would,
Yeah.
obviously.
So we have to pay for it.
that we could use. Because we could use one.
Jamie, any input on that?
No, I mean, when I first saw the numbers, I thought it was slightly high, but if you're getting up there and you're getting a crane or a lift or some way to get to it, it seemed within the realm of reasonableness for repair.
Yeah. All right, so,
We're just doing, I'm letting you guys know.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one is the electrical engineer. I just want to make sure that I'm on target. Okay, and then I also, okay, so this is an RFP to hire an electrical engineer again for evaluating this particular building. I want to make sure that you understand too that I'm going to be bringing all the proposals to you, and we're going to select a vendor. Okay, and then the report's going to come to this committee. All right, when we go and do the evaluation for the building. And from there, we're going to make a choice on what to do. All right, so I understand Jamie's concerned about changing architect.
I found just there was two that said architect.
I didn't hear that, Jamie.
It's just this typo. It was, we
Oh, I
used we
see.
used the template from when we
Yeah.
did the architect, and it still said architect in it.
Yeah, I got that.
So I just changed it. Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm going to issue the RFP for this. Actually, I expect only one response. Okay,
It's pretty involved. I made a note to myself, so I can't just fire an EE.
yeah,
But
okay,
I'm fine with it. It's great.
all right. So let's do the tour. Okay, and so for the public, we're going to stop the video here and we're going to take a tour of the building.
Meeting adjourned.